I watched my brother Tyler slide his hand around my wife Amanda's waist at our family barbecue, pulling her closer, while my parents erupted in laughter. "You two would make beautiful babies together," my mother Linda announced to the entire backyard gathering. My father Robert nodded approvingly, raising his beer bottle in a mock toast. "Tyler knows how to treat a woman right." Amanda's smile looked forced, her shoulders tensing under Tyler's grip, but I had been blind to this for months. The realization hit me like ice water. This wasn't brotherly affection. This was something much darker, and my own family was encouraging it right in front of me. Standing there, watching Tyler's fingers linger on Amanda's hip, memories flooded back with startling clarity. Over the past 6 months, since our wedding, I had dismissed so many red flags as harmless family dynamics. My job as a software engineer required frequent business trips to client sites across the Midwest, sometimes lasting a full week. During these absences, Tyler had developed an alarming pattern of behavior that I was only now beginning to understand. The first incident happened 3 months ago, when I returned from a conference in Chicago. Amanda mentioned Tyler had stopped by Tuesday evening, claiming he was in the neighborhood and wanted to check on her. He brought takeout from her favorite Thai restaurant, stayed for dinner, and somehow convinced her to watch a romantic comedy afterwards. When I expressed confusion about why my 26-year-old brother was having movie nights with my wife Amanda, quickly defended him, saying he was just being thoughtful. Then came the grocery store appearances. Tyler would coincidentally show up at the same supermarket where Amanda shopped, offering to help carry her bags to the car. He started texting her directly, instead of going through me, sending messages about recipes he thought she might enjoy, or asking if she needed anything while I was traveling. Amanda showed me these texts initially, but I noticed she stopped mentioning them after I expressed mild annoyance. The breaking point came during my trip to Detroit last month. I called Amanda Tuesday evening to find Tyler's voice in the background, laughing at something on television. Amanda explained he had arrived unannounced with Chinese food, claiming he was worried about her eating properly while I was gone. When I suggested this was inappropriate, Amanda became defensive, arguing that Tyler was family, and she didn't want to hurt his feelings by turning him away. My parents made everything worse with their constant commentary. Linda regularly praised Tyler's attentiveness, making pointed remarks about how romantic gestures came naturally to him. "Tyler understands what women need," she would say, followed by meaningful glances at Amanda. Robert joined in with observations about Tyler's charisma and natural ability with relationships. "Ray's always been the serious one buried in computers," he would explain to relatives. "Tyler got the charm in the family." These comments stung because they echoed dynamics from our childhood. Tyler had always been the golden child, effortlessly popular in school, while I focused on academics. Teachers loved his outgoing personality, coaches praised his athleticism, and girlfriends seemed to fall into his lap without effort. Meanwhile, I worked twice as hard for half the recognition, eventually finding success in technology, where my methodical nature was valued. But Amanda was supposed to be different. She had fallen in love with my stability, my dedication, my quiet strength. We met at a coffee shop where she was struggling with her laptop, and I helped fix her presentation for a marketing meeting. Our relationship grew slowly, built on deep conversations and shared values, rather than flashy romantic gestures. She chose me precisely because I wasn't like Tyler. Tonight at the barbecue, watching Tyler's possessive grip on my wife while my parents beamed approvingly, I finally understood what was happening. This wasn't innocent family bonding. Tyler was systematically undermining my marriage with our parents' blessing, and Amanda was caught in the middle, too kind to cause family drama, but clearly uncomfortable with the attention. After the other guests left, I followed Amanda into our kitchen, while Tyler helped Dad clean the grill outside. "We need to talk about what happened tonight," I said quietly, keeping my voice calm, despite the rage burning in my chest. Amanda's shoulders sagged with relief, as if she had been waiting months for this conversation. "Ray, I didn't know how to bring this up without sounding paranoid," she whispered, glancing toward the back door. Tyler makes me really uncomfortable, but every time I try to create distance, your parents make me feel like I'm being rude or ungrateful. The admission confirmed my worst fears. Tell me everything, I said, pulling out a kitchen chair for her. Amanda sat down heavily, running her hands through her brown hair. It started small. The unannounced visits, the personal texts, the way he stands too close when we talk. But lately, it's gotten worse. Last week, when you were in Cleveland, he showed up at my office building during lunch, claiming he was meeting a friend nearby. He insisted on buying my meal and spent the entire time asking personal questions about our marriage, whether I felt appreciated, if I ever got lonely. My hands clenched into fists. Why didn't you tell me immediately? Because I knew you'd confront him, and then your parents would blame me for causing family problems. Amanda explained, tears forming in her eyes. Linda already makes little comments about how I need to understand that Tyler is just being protective because he cares about both of us. She acts like I should be grateful for his attention. The pieces click together with sickening clarity. Tyler wasn't just pursuing Amanda randomly. He was following a calculated strategy using our parents as allies and my frequent travel as opportunity. His unemployment 3 months ago, which he had hidden from the family, gave him unlimited time to execute his plan. Meanwhile, Linda and Robert's favoritism provided perfect cover, making Amanda feel guilty for rejecting his advances and positioning me as the unreasonable husband if I objected. That night, I made a decision that would change everything. Instead of confronting Tyler directly, I would gather evidence of his behavior. Amanda and I needed concrete proof of his inappropriate conduct before involving the family, because Tyler's charm and our parents' bias would make any accusations look like jealous paranoia. I opened my laptop and logged into our shared family phone plan account, something I had set up years ago to save money on multiple lines. What I discovered made my blood run cold. Tyler had been using our family account to make purchases at restaurants and coffee shops all over town, spending nearly $400 over the past 2 months. The timing of these transactions aligned perfectly with Amanda's daily schedule. Her lunch breaks, her gym sessions, her evening errands. Tyler wasn't just pursuing my wife. He was using my own money to do it, hiding behind family account privileges to fund his campaign. The betrayal cut deeper than I could have imagined, because it meant this wasn't impulsive attraction. Tyler had planned every detail of his assault on my marriage, and somehow convinced himself that using my credit card to buy Amanda expensive lunches was acceptable behavior. Armed with evidence of Tyler's unauthorized spending, I decided to confront him privately before involving Amanda or our parents. I chose Saturday morning when he typically worked out at the local gym, figuring a public location would keep things civil. I found him finishing a set on the bench press, looking confident and relaxed in his element. Tyler, we need to discuss your recent purchases on the family account. I began showing him the printed credit card statements with highlighted charges. $400 at restaurants around town, all coinciding with times when you were supposedly helping Amanda with errands. Tyler's reaction stunned me with its calculated coldness. He sat up slowly, toweling off his face with deliberate calm, then looked me directly in the eyes and laughed. Not nervously or apologetically, but with genuine amusement, as if I had told him a particularly funny joke. "Ray, buddy, you're seriously keeping track of family account spending now," he said loudly enough for nearby gym members to hear. "That's pretty paranoid even for you. These were family mix-ups, honest mistakes with the payment system. I thought Dad had cleared this with you already." The gaslighting was immediate and sophisticated. Tyler didn't deny the spending or apologize for the oversight. Instead, he reframed my legitimate concern as irrational jealousy, positioned himself as the innocent victim of my paranoia, and implied our father had authorized the charges. Every word was chosen to make me sound unreasonable, while maintaining his image as the easygoing brother who couldn't understand why I was being so uptight. "Amanda told me about your inappropriate behavior." I continued, determined to stay on track. "The unannounced visits, the personal questions about our marriage showing up at her workplace. This needs to stop immediately." Tyler's expression shifted to one of exaggerated concern, like a therapist dealing with a troubled patient. "Ray, I think you're having some serious trust issues here," he said, his voice dripping with false sympathy. "Amanda and I are family now. I care about her happiness, and frankly, I'm worried about how your constant travel is affecting your marriage. Maybe instead of accusing me of inappropriate behavior, you should ask yourself why your wife needs emotional support from your brother." The manipulation was masterful. Tyler acknowledged Amanda's loneliness, while implying it was my fault, positioned his interference as noble concern, and suggested I was the problem for being suspicious. He was rewriting reality in real time, making me question my own perceptions, while painting himself as the caring brother trying to help a neglected wife. But Tyler wasn't finished. He leaned closer, lowering his voice to a confidential whisper that other gym members couldn't hear. "Look, I probably should have talked to you first, but Mom and Dad are worried about you too. They think you're not meeting Amanda's emotional needs, that you're too focused on work to notice she's unhappy. They asked me to check in on her, make sure she feels supported by the family. Maybe we should all sit down together and discuss this like adults." The threat was subtle, but clear. Tyler was positioning our parents as allies, in his campaign suggesting they shared his concerns about my marriage, and had specifically asked him to intervene. If I escalated this conflict, I would be fighting not just Tyler, but the entire family dynamic. He was counting on my lifelong pattern of avoiding confrontation with our parents to back down. I left the gym feeling more isolated than ever, but determined to expose Tyler's manipulation. That afternoon, I called Linda and Robert, asking them to meet me for coffee Sunday morning. I planned to present the evidence calmly and rationally, focusing on the unauthorized spending and inappropriate boundaries, rather than making accusations about Tyler's motives. Sunday morning at the local diner, I showed our parents the credit card statements and explained the pattern of behavior Amanda and I had documented. Linda's reaction was immediate and devastating. She didn't express surprise or concern about Tyler's conduct. Instead, she turned on me with an anger that seemed disproportionate to the situation. "Ray, I am extremely disappointed in you right now," Linda said, her voice sharp with accusation. "Tyler has been nothing but supportive of your marriage, and this is how you repay his kindness, by tracking his spending like some kind of financial detective, by forbidding him from caring about Amanda." Robert nodded grimly, his disapproval evident in every gesture. "Son, this reminds me of high school when you used to get jealous of Tyler's popularity. You're letting insecurity cloud your judgment. Tyler's a good man who loves his family. Amanda is lucky to have someone watching out for her while you're traveling all the time." The betrayal was complete. Not only did our parents refuse to acknowledge Tyler's inappropriate behavior, they actively defended him while attacking my character. Linda compared my legitimate concerns to teenage jealousy, dismissing months of documented evidence as paranoid obsession. Robert framed Tyler's boundary violations as loving concern, while implying I was neglecting my wife through work obligations. "Tyler warned us you might react this way." Linda continued, reaching across the table to pat my hand condescendingly. "He said you've been acting controlling lately, questioning Amanda about her daily activities, getting upset when family members show her affection. Honey, this level of insecurity isn't healthy for a marriage." My stomach dropped. Tyler had preemptively poisoned our parents against me, describing my growing awareness of his manipulation as controlling behavior. He had flipped the script completely, making himself the victim of my unreasonable jealousy, while positioning Amanda as someone who needed protection from my suspicious nature. "Maybe you should consider counseling," Robert suggested, his tone carrying the weight of parental authority. "Individual therapy to work through these trust issues before they destroy your marriage. Tyler's just being a good brother, and Amanda deserves family support, not interrogation about her friendships." I realized with crystalline clarity that Tyler had been playing a much longer game than I understood. He hadn't just been pursuing Amanda over the past few months. He had been carefully constructing a narrative with our parents, portraying me as an absent, controlling husband, while establishing himself as the concerned brother trying to help a struggling marriage. Every coffee he bought Amanda, every unannounced visit, every personal conversation had been framed to our parents as evidence of his devotion to family and my failure as a husband. Walking to my car after that devastating conversation, I felt completely alone. Tyler had successfully isolated me from my own family, turning my parents into weapons against my marriage, while maintaining his image as the caring brother. Amanda and I were fighting this battle without allies, facing an opponent who had home field advantage and years of experience manipulating family dynamics. But Tyler had made one crucial mistake. In his arrogance, he had underestimated both Amanda's intelligence and my determination. He assumed we would back down, rather than fight the entire family, that our desire to keep peace would override our need for justice. He was about to learn how wrong he was. That evening, I shared the full conversation with Amanda, watching her face cycle through disbelief, anger, and finally grim determination. "Ray, there's something I need to tell you," she said quietly. "I've been doing some research of my own, and what I found might change everything." 2 weeks after my disastrous conversation with our parents, Linda and Robert's 30th wedding anniversary dinner arrived like a storm cloud on our calendar. The celebration was planned for Meridian, the most expensive restaurant in our Ohio town, with extended family traveling from 3 states to attend. Amanda and I considered skipping the event, but Linda had made it clear that our absence would be seen as another sign of my controlling behavior and lack of family commitment. The evening began ominously when Tyler arrived at the restaurant carrying an elaborate gift bag with ribbon and professional wrapping that clearly cost more than the contents. He made a show of presenting it to Amanda at the bar, while we waited for our table, announcing loudly enough for arriving relatives to hear that it was a special family gift, to thank her for bringing such joy into our lives. Amanda's face flushed with embarrassment as she unwrapped an expensive necklace with matching earrings, easily worth several $100s. The jewelry was tasteful, but intimate, the kind of gift a husband gives his wife for major anniversaries, not something appropriate from a brother-in-law. Tyler fastened the necklace around Amanda's neck with practiced ease, his fingers lingering on her skin, while our aunts and uncles watched with growing confusion. "Tyler has such wonderful taste," Aunt Carol commented, studying the intricate silverwork. "Amanda, you're so lucky to have such a thoughtful brother-in-law." Uncle Frank raised his eyebrows at the expensive gift, but said nothing, though I caught him exchanging meaningful glances with his wife. My cousin Jennifer looked openly confused by the intimate display, but Tyler's confident demeanor made everyone hesitant to question the appropriateness of his gesture. The seating arrangement at dinner revealed the depth of our parents' manipulation. Instead of placing Amanda beside me, Linda had positioned Tyler directly to Amanda's left, with me relegated to the far end of the table between elderly relatives who could barely hear the conversation. This forced physical separation was deliberate, ensuring Tyler had unlimited access to Amanda, while limiting my ability to intervene or protect her from his attention. During the appetizer course, Tyler launched into what he called a heartfelt toast to our parents, but his words focused almost exclusively on Amanda's presence in the family. "Mom and Dad, 30 years ago, you created something beautiful together, and that beauty continues to grow." He began raising his wine glass while maintaining eye contact with Amanda. "The daughter you gained this year through Ray's marriage has brought light and warmth into all our lives. Amanda represents everything we value in this family: kindness, intelligence, and genuine heart." The extended family applauded politely, but I noticed several relatives shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Tyler's toast felt more like a romantic declaration than a familial welcome, and his emphasis on Amanda's qualities, rather than her relationship with me, sent subtle but unmistakable signals about his intentions. Linda beamed with approval throughout Tyler's speech, nodding enthusiastically and wiping away theatrical tears. "Tyler always knows exactly what to say," she announced to the table. "He has such emotional intelligence, Such natural understanding of what people need to hear. Robert stood to respond his own toast, reinforcing the disturbing family dynamic. Tyler's right about Amanda being a gift to our family, he said, looking directly at her rather than me. Sometimes I think she's exactly the kind of woman who brings out the best in the men around her. She deserves all the love and appreciation we can give her. The implications were clear to everyone at the table. My own father was publicly stating that Amanda brought out the best in the men around her, plural, rather than celebrating her relationship with his son. He was positioning her as someone who deserved attention from multiple family members, essentially giving Tyler permission to pursue her while diminishing my exclusive claim as her husband. When the restaurant's live jazz ensemble began playing during the main course, Tyler seized his opportunity for the evening's most brazen display. "Amanda, would you honor me with a dance?" he asked, extending his hand with theatrical chivalry. I promised myself I'd dance with the most beautiful woman at our parents' anniversary dinner. Amanda looked desperately in my direction, but Tyler was already helping her from her chair, his hand possessively placed on the small of her back. Linda started applauding immediately, encouraging other family members to join in celebrating Tyler's romantic gesture. Within seconds, Amanda found herself on the small dance floor, with Tyler's arms around her, while our extended family watched approvingly. I started to rise from my chair, but Robert placed a firm hand on my shoulder, pushing me back down. "Let them have their moment," he said quietly. "Tyler's just being a gentleman. Amanda looks happy." But Amanda didn't look happy. From my position at the table, I could see her rigid posture, her forced smile, the way she tried to maintain distance, while Tyler pulled her closer during the slow song. He was whispering in her ear, causing her to shake her head repeatedly, her discomfort visible to anyone paying attention. Unfortunately, our family was too busy celebrating Tyler's supposed thoughtfulness to notice Amanda's obvious distress. The dance lasted nearly 10 minutes through 2 complete songs, with Tyler making sure every family member witnessed his intimate moment with my wife. He spun her gracefully, dipped her dramatically, and held her close enough that observers might mistake them for an actual couple celebrating their own anniversary. When they finally returned to the table, Tyler's confidence had reached dangerous new heights. He kept his hand on Amanda's chair, leaning close to continue whatever conversation they had started on the dance floor. Amanda's responses were monosyllabic, but Tyler interpreted her politeness as engagement, becoming more animated and possessive with each passing minute. Then came the moment that crossed every possible line of appropriate behavior. Tyler stood up, tapping his wine glass for attention, and addressed the entire restaurant with a speech that left me speechless with rage. "Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends," he announced, his voice carrying across the dining room. "I want to take a moment to talk about love and dedication. For the past several months, I've had the privilege of getting to know my sister-in-law Amanda on a deeper level. While my brother Ray travels extensively for work, I've been able to step in and make sure Amanda never feels alone or unappreciated." The restaurant fell silent, sensing the tension in our family section, but unable to understand the undercurrents of Tyler's words. He continued with devastating precision, "I've seen firsthand how Amanda lights up when someone takes the time to really listen to her, to understand her dreams and fears, to be present in the moment instead of always rushing off to the next business meeting. She deserves someone who recognizes her worth, who prioritizes her happiness above career advancement." My cousin Jennifer's mouth fell open in shock. Uncle Frank's face darkened with disapproval. Several restaurant patrons turned to stare at our table, clearly confused by Tyler's inappropriate speech. But Linda and Robert were nodding approvingly, as if Tyler was delivering profound wisdom, rather than publicly undermining their son's marriage. Tyler raised his glass one final time, looking directly into Amanda's eyes. "To Amanda, who reminds us all what it means to truly cherish the people we love. And to anyone who might be taking such a remarkable woman for granted, I hope tonight serves as a wake-up call about what really matters in life." The toast was a thinly veiled challenge to my marriage delivered in front of 50 witnesses, including restaurant staff, who were now openly staring at our table. Tyler had essentially announced his availability as Amanda's alternative, while criticizing my commitment as her husband, all under the guise of celebrating our parents' anniversary. Amanda stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor with enough force to startle nearby diners. "Excuse me," she said through clenched teeth, grabbing her purse and heading toward the restaurant's exit with unmistakable determination. As I followed her toward the parking lot, I heard Linda calling after us. "Ray, don't you dare ruin this evening with your jealousy issues." But Amanda was done being polite, done protecting everyone else's feelings while sacrificing her own dignity. And as I caught up with her beside our car, I realized she was about to unleash something that would change our family forever. Amanda was shaking with rage when I reached her in the restaurant parking lot, her hands trembling as she fumbled with her car keys. For a moment, I thought she might actually be having a panic attack, but as she turned to face me, I saw something in her eyes I had never witnessed before. A cold, calculated fury that was absolutely terrifying in its intensity. "Ray, I am done being victimized by your family," she said, her voice steady, despite her obvious anger. "I've spent 6 months trying to be the perfect daughter-in-law, making excuses for Tyler's behavior, and accepting your parents' favoritism, because I wanted to keep peace. But what happened in there crossed every line that exists." I reached for her hand, but she pulled away, not in rejection, but because she needed space to think clearly. "Amanda, I know tonight was humiliating, but we can't let Tyler destroy our marriage by making us react emotionally," I said, trying to be the voice of reason. "React emotionally." Amanda's laugh was harsh and bitter. "Ray, I've been investigating your family for 3 weeks now, gathering information like I'm preparing for war. Because that's exactly what this is. A war for our marriage, our dignity, and our future. And I've found something that's going to end this permanently." The parking lot streetlight cast shadows across her face as she opened her purse and pulled out a manila folder thick with documents. "Your brother thinks he's so clever manipulating family dynamics and positioning himself as the caring son, while you're painted as the neglectful husband. Your parents think they can orchestrate our lives like we're characters in their personal drama. But they all made one crucial mistake." Amanda's voice dropped to a whisper, but her words carried the weight of absolute certainty. "They underestimated me." She opened the folder, revealing dozens of printed emails, bank statements, hotel receipts, and photographs. 3 weeks ago, after that disaster at your parents' house when Tyler grabbed my waist, I realized this family had serious problems that went way beyond your brother's inappropriate behavior. So, I started digging. The first document she showed me was a credit card statement for an account I didn't recognize, but Linda's name was clearly printed at the top. The charges were extensive and suspicious. Expensive hotels in downtown Columbus, upscale restaurants, jewelry stores, lingerie boutiques, and luxury spa treatments. All of this spending occurred on dates when Robert was supposedly working, or when Linda claimed to be showing houses to clients. Your mother has been living a completely secret life. Amanda continued, flipping through more evidence. She's been having an affair for over 2 years with Marcus Hoffman, her business partner at the real estate agency. The same Marcus who used to work construction with your father 15 years ago before they had their falling out. My stomach dropped. Marcus Hoffman had been Robert's best friend and business partner until a bitter dispute over money and ethics ended their relationship permanently. Robert still refused to speak Marcus's name, considering him a traitor who had stolen clients and sabotaged construction projects. The idea that Linda was sleeping with Robert's former enemy added layers of betrayal that went beyond simple infidelity. Amanda continued her devastating revelation. Linda and Marcus have been using joint real estate transactions to hide money transfers. She's been embezzling funds from properties, she shows skimming cash from closing costs, and funneling the money through Marcus's accounts to pay for their affair. We're talking about theft in the tens of thousands of dollars over the past 18 months. She handed me printed bank records showing irregular deposits and transfers that coincided with Linda's real estate sales. The financial manipulation was sophisticated and extensive, representing systematic theft from both the real estate agency and her unsuspecting clients. But here's where it gets really interesting. Amanda said, her voice taking on the tone of someone about to deliver a fatal blow. Tyler knows about the affair and has been blackmailing your mother for money. That's how he's been funding his unemployment while maintaining his lifestyle. The mysterious income he claims comes from personal training clients. It's actually blackmail payments from Linda, who's been stealing money to keep Tyler quiet about her affair. The revelation hit me like physical violence. Tyler's sudden financial stability, despite losing his job, his confidence in pursuing Amanda, despite having no legitimate income, his leverage with our parents, despite behaving inappropriately. It all made sense now. He had been extorting our mother while simultaneously using her guilt and fear to gain support for his pursuit of my wife. Linda's favoritism toward Tyler isn't about loving him more, Amanda explained with clinical precision. It's about terror that he'll expose her affair and destroy her marriage. Every time she defends Tyler's behavior toward me, every time she criticizes you for being suspicious, she's protecting her own secret. Tyler has weaponized her guilt to turn your parents against you. Amanda pulled out a final set of documents. Printed text messages between Linda and Tyler discussing payment schedules, meeting locations, and explicit threats about revealing the affair to Robert. The messages were damning evidence of criminal blackmail and showed the calculated nature of Tyler's manipulation. I spent 2 weeks following your mother's daily routine, documenting her meetings with Marcus, photographing them together at hotels and restaurants. I hired a private investigator to verify the financial irregularities and gather legal evidence. And yesterday, I did something that's going to change everything. Amanda's smile was cold as winter morning. I anonymously sent all of this evidence to your father's personal email account, along with a detailed timeline of Linda's affair and Tyler's blackmail. I included bank records, hotel receipts, photographs, and text message screenshots. Everything he needs to understand exactly what his wife and younger son have been doing behind his back. My mind reeled from the implications. Amanda, you could have destroyed our family permanently. What if Robert reacts violently? What if this information becomes public and ruins their business? Ray, they destroyed themselves, Amanda replied firmly. I just documented the destruction and made sure the victim had access to the truth. Your father deserves to know that his wife has been stealing money to fund an affair with his former enemy, and that his son has been criminally extorting her while manipulating family dynamics to pursue your wife. This isn't about revenge. It's about justice. She was right, and I knew it. Tyler and Linda's behavior had escalated beyond inappropriate family drama into actual criminal activity. Tyler was committing blackmail. Linda was embezzling funds, and both were using psychological manipulation to isolate Amanda and me from family support while pursuing their selfish agendas. When did you send the information to Dad? I asked, already dreading the answer. Yesterday afternoon, Amanda replied. I wanted him to have 24 hours to process everything before tonight's anniversary dinner. I figured he would either confront Linda privately or wait until after the celebration to address the situation. As if summoned by our conversation, my phone buzzed with a text message from Robert. Come home immediately. Both of you. We need to talk. Amanda and I looked at each other in the parking lot light, knowing that we were about to walk into a family explosion that would reshape everything. But for the first time in months, I felt like we were finally fighting back, instead of just enduring abuse. Are you ready for this? I asked, taking Amanda's hand. I've been ready for this since your brother first put his hands on me, she replied with quiet determination. Let's go finish what we started. Robert's house felt like a crime scene when Amanda and I arrived 20 minutes after leaving the restaurant. Every light in the house was blazing, and through the front windows we could see movements suggesting intense activity inside. Linda's car was parked at an odd angle in the driveway, as if she had arrived quickly and carelessly, while Tyler's pickup truck sat ominously near the garage. Before we could knock, Robert opened the front door with an expression I had never seen before. A combination of devastation, rage, and grim determination that made him look like a completely different person than the man who had toasted Tyler's thoughtfulness 2 hours earlier. "Get inside," he said quietly, stepping aside to let us enter. "We're settling this tonight." The living room looked like a tornado had swept through it. Financial documents were scattered across every surface. Linda's real estate files were stacked in angry piles, and printed email conversations covered the coffee table like evidence in a courtroom. Linda sat on the far end of the couch, her makeup ruined by tears, still wearing her anniversary dinner dress, but looking utterly defeated. Tyler stood near the fireplace. His earlier confidence completely evaporated, replaced by the desperate anxiety of someone whose carefully constructed lies had finally collapsed. When he saw Amanda and me enter the room, his eyes narrowed with pure hatred, as if we were responsible for his current predicament rather than the architects of his own downfall. 30 years. Robert said, his voice carrying the weight of absolute betrayal. 30 years of marriage. And I find out my wife has been living a double life with the man who nearly bankrupted our construction business 15 years ago. He picked up a hotel receipt from the coffee table, holding it like contaminated evidence. The Grand Metropolitan Downtown Room, 427, charged to Linda's secret credit card on our 28th wedding anniversary, while I thought she was visiting her sister in Cleveland. $500 for one night with Marcus Hoffman. Linda's sobs intensified, but Robert continued his devastating inventory of her betrayals. 2 years of theft from your real estate clients, skimming money from closing costs, and down payments to fund your affair. $63,000 stolen and transferred to accounts I knew nothing about. Money that belongs to families trying to buy their first homes. The scope of Linda's embezzlement was staggering. She hadn't just stolen from the real estate agency. She had robbed individual families of money they had saved for years to purchase homes. The theft was personal and devastating, affecting people's most important life decisions. But Robert wasn't finished. He turned his attention to Tyler with a fury that made the room temperature seem to drop. "And you," he said, his voice shaking with rage. "My own son blackmailing your mother for money, while pretending to be the concerned brother helping your sister-in-law. 8 months of extortion, demanding payments every time she tried to end the affair, or reduce contact with Marcus." Tyler's face flushed red with embarrassment and anger. "Dad, you don't understand the whole situation," he began, but Robert cut him off with a gesture that brooked no argument. "I understand perfectly," Robert replied, pulling out printed text messages between Tyler and Linda. Quote, "If you don't transfer $500 to my account by Friday, I'm telling Dad everything about you and Marcus." End quote. That's not misunderstanding, Tyler. That's criminal blackmail. Amanda squeezed my hand as Robert continued his methodical destruction of Tyler's defense. "The money you've been using to pursue Ray's wife, the expensive gifts, the restaurant meals charged to family accounts. All of it funded by extorting your mother while she stole from innocent families. You've been living off criminal proceeds while manipulating family dynamics to isolate your brother from our support." Tyler's desperation was becoming visible. His hands were shaking, his voice pitched higher than normal, and his usual confident demeanor had completely vanished. "Dad Ray has been paranoid and controlling," he said, grasping for his previous narrative. "Amanda needed emotional support, and I was just being a good brother-in-law. By using stolen money to buy her expensive jewelry." Robert's voice rose for the first time all evening. "By manipulating your mother's guilt to turn us against Ray. By systematically undermining your brother's marriage while committing multiple felonies." The evidence was overwhelming and undeniable. Tyler's entire campaign to pursue Amanda had been funded by criminal activity, supported by family manipulation, based on blackmail and extortion, and designed to isolate me from any support while positioning him as the caring alternative to my supposedly neglectful behavior. Linda finally found her voice, speaking through tears and obvious shame. "Tyler threatened to destroy everything if I didn't support his relationship with Amanda. She confessed, looking directly at me for the first time all evening. He said he was in love with her, and that Ray didn't deserve someone so wonderful. He made me believe that encouraging his feelings was protecting the family from scandal. The admission revealed the true scope of Tyler's manipulation. He hadn't just blackmailed Linda for money. He had coerced her into actively sabotaging my marriage by making her believe that supporting his pursuit of Amanda was somehow protecting family stability. Tyler convinced me that Ray's work travel proved he wasn't committed to marriage. Linda continued, her voice breaking with shame. He said Amanda confided in him about feeling lonely and unappreciated. I thought I was helping create a better situation for everyone. But Tyler's desperation was transforming into dangerous anger. "This is all Amanda's fault," he suddenly shouted, pointing an accusing finger at my wife. "She's the one who investigated our family, who gathered evidence, who manipulated Dad into believing lies about Mom and me. She's destroyed this family because she couldn't handle a little harmless attention." The accusation was so outrageous that Amanda actually laughed. "Harmless attention," she replied with icy calm. "Tyler, you've been stalking me for months, using stolen money to fund your pursuit, and blackmailing your mother to force family support for behavior that would be criminal in any other context. I didn't destroy this family. I exposed the criminal activity that was already destroying it." Tyler's face twisted with rage at Amanda's response. He took a step toward her, his hands clenched into fists, and for a moment, I thought he might actually become physically violent. But Robert intervened immediately, moving between Tyler and Amanda with protective authority. "You will not threaten my daughter-in-law in my house," Robert said firmly. "You've lost the right to be anywhere near Amanda after what you've done." Tyler's last desperate gambit was to appeal to family loyalty. "Dad, you're really going to choose them over your own wife and son? You're going to believe some investigation by an outsider over the people who've been your family for decades?" Robert's response was immediate and final. "Tyler, you stopped being family the moment you decided to blackmail your mother and pursue your brother's wife. Linda stopped being my wife the moment she chose Marcus Hoffman over our marriage vows. Both of you need to leave this house tonight." But Tyler wasn't ready to accept defeat. As Robert moved toward the front door to escort him out, Tyler turned back with a look of pure malice. "Fine," he said, his voice low and threatening. "If I can't have Amanda through family connections, I'll find another way. She belongs with someone who really appreciates her, and I'm not giving up just because you've all turned against me." The threat was unmistakable and terrifying. Tyler was announcing his intention to pursue Amanda outside the family structure without the cover of brotherly concern or parental support. He was essentially promising to escalate his behavior from inappropriate family dynamics to outright stalking. Robert's expression turned dangerous. "Tyler, you will stay away from Ray and Amanda, or I will personally ensure that every piece of evidence about your blackmail and theft gets turned over to the police. Do you understand me?" But Tyler was already walking toward the door, his parting words chilling in their implications. "We'll see about that." As the front door slammed behind Tyler, Linda began sobbing uncontrollably, the reality of her situation finally hitting her completely. Her marriage was over, her criminal behavior was exposed, and her younger son had just threatened to escalate his pursuit of Amanda into potentially dangerous territory. Amanda and I stood in the wreckage of my family, knowing that while we had won this battle, the war was far from over. Tyler's final threat suggested he was prepared to abandon all pretense of appropriate behavior and pursue Amanda through any means necessary. The reckoning was complete, but our real nightmare was just beginning. Tyler's stalking began within 48 hours of our confrontation at Robert's house, escalating with a speed and intensity that left Amanda and me feeling like prey, being hunted by a predator who had finally dropped all pretense of civilized behavior. His transformation from manipulative family member to dangerous stalker was swift and absolutely terrifying. Monday morning, Amanda discovered Tyler waiting in the parking lot outside her marketing agency downtown, leaning against his pickup truck with an expression of casual confidence that suggested he had every right to be there. When Amanda approached her car after work, Tyler intercepted her with what he called a friendly conversation about family dynamics and misunderstandings. "Amanda, I think we got off on the wrong foot at Dad's house," Tyler said, blocking her path to her vehicle. "I know my feelings for you might seem inappropriate to outsiders, but you and I both know there's something special between us. Family politics shouldn't prevent us from exploring what could be a beautiful relationship." Amanda's response was firm and unambiguous. "Tyler, there is nothing between us, and there never will be. Your behavior is inappropriate, unwelcome, and bordering on harassment. Stay away from me." But Tyler interpreted Amanda's directness as playing hard to get, rather than genuine rejection. "I understand you have to say that because of Ray," he replied with disturbing calm. "But once this family drama settles down, you'll realize that I'm the one who truly understands and appreciates you. I'm willing to wait as long as necessary." Amanda immediately called me from her car, and I arrived at her workplace within 15 minutes. Tyler was gone by then, but security footage from the building confirmed his presence and his deliberate attempt to corner Amanda in an isolated location. We filed a police report that same afternoon, but the officer was politely skeptical about our concerns. "Ma'am, from what you're describing, your brother-in-law tried to have a conversation with you in a public parking lot," Officer Rodriguez explained. "Unless he makes specific threats or touches you without permission, there's not much we can do legally. Family disputes are complicated, and courts are reluctant to intervene in what might be personal disagreements." The inadequate police response was frustrating, but not unexpected. Tyler's behavior was calculated to stay just within legal boundaries while maximizing psychological intimidation. He was smart enough to avoid explicit threats or physical contact while making his presence known and his intentions clear. Tuesday brought a disturbing escalation. Amanda arrived home from her evening yoga class to find a bouquet of expensive roses on our front porch with a handwritten note: "For the woman who makes every day brighter. Your secret admirer who sees your true worth." The flowers were beautiful, and the note romantic, but in context, they felt like a violation rather than a gift. Wednesday's incident was even more unsettling. Amanda discovered that someone had been inside our house while we were both at work. Nothing was stolen, but items had been moved in subtle ways that suggested thorough exploration. A framed wedding photo had been turned face down, Amanda's jewelry box had been opened and rearranged, and her laptop had been moved to a different position on her desk. The invasion of our private space was psychologically devastating. Tyler had somehow gained access to our home and spent time going through Amanda's personal belongings, sending a clear message that nowhere was safe from his attention. We immediately changed all locks and installed a security system, but the damage to Amanda's sense of safety was profound. Thursday brought photographic evidence of extended surveillance. Amanda found printed photographs slipped under the windshield wipers of her car. Pictures of her leaving work, exercising at the gym, shopping for groceries, and meeting friends for lunch. The images were taken from various distances and angles over several days, proving that Tyler had been systematically tracking her daily routine. Each photograph was professionally printed and carefully selected to show Amanda looking beautiful and unaware, like a professional modeling portfolio, rather than stalking evidence. Tyler was presenting his surveillance as artistic appreciation rather than criminal behavior, maintaining his narrative that he was simply documenting someone he cared about. Friday's escalation crossed into overtly threatening territory. Amanda's car windshield was decorated with a long letter expressing Tyler's feelings and frustrations. The note was rambling and increasingly aggressive, filled with complaints about family betrayal and promises about their future together. Amanda. The letter began, "I've been patient and respectful while everyone around us tries to poison our connection. But my patience is running out. You belong with someone who puts you first, who recognizes your worth, who would do anything to make you happy. Ray will never love you the way I do, because he's incapable of real passion. I'm prepared to take you away from this toxic situation and show you what genuine devotion looks like." The letter concluded with a thinly veiled ultimatum. "I've tried to handle this through family channels, but if everyone insists on standing in our way, I'll be forced to take more direct action. You can't run from destiny, Amanda. We're meant to be together, and nothing will prevent me from claiming what's rightfully mine." The possessive language and implicit threats were terrifying. Tyler was no longer pretending that Amanda had any choice in their supposed relationship. He was announcing his intention to take her, regardless of her wishes or anyone else's interference, positioning himself as someone with rightful ownership of my wife. Saturday brought the most dangerous escalation yet. Amanda was leaving the grocery store when Tyler approached her in the parking lot, this time accompanied by a woman I didn't recognize. Tyler introduced his companion as Sarah, a relationship counselor who specialized in helping couples work through family opposition to their love. Sarah has extensive experience helping people navigate situations where families don't understand or support genuine connections. Tyler explained with disturbing earnestness. "She's agreed to mediate between us and help you process the guilt you're feeling about betraying Ray. Sometimes we need professional help to understand that following our hearts isn't selfish." The manipulation was sophisticated and terrifying. Tyler had recruited a supposed professional to legitimize his pursuit and provide psychological pressure for Amanda to abandon her marriage. Whether Sarah was actually a therapist or simply someone Tyler had convinced to play that role, her presence suggested he was building a support system for his delusions about their relationship. Amanda refused to engage with either Tyler or his companion, but their presence in the grocery store parking lot represented a new level of public confrontation. Tyler was no longer content with private stalking. He was prepared to create public scenes and involve other people in his campaign to claim my wife. Sunday night, Amanda and I sat in our living room surrounded by evidence of Tyler's escalating stalking photographs, letters, security footage, police reports, and documentation of his systematic invasion of our daily lives. The local police had been polite but ineffective, suggesting we pursue a restraining order through family court, while acknowledging that enforcement would be difficult. "Ray, we can't live like this," Amanda said quietly, her voice carrying the exhaustion of someone who had spent a week looking over her shoulder. "Tyler isn't going to stop, and the police can't or won't protect us until after he actually hurts me. We need to make a choice about our future." I knew she was right. Tyler's behavior was escalating predictably toward violence, and our small Ohio town didn't have resources to provide adequate protection from determined stalkers. We had jobs, friends, and a life here, but none of that mattered if Amanda couldn't feel safe in her own community. "What are you thinking?" I asked, though I suspected I already knew the answer. "I've been researching job opportunities in other states," Amanda replied, pulling out her laptop. "Denver has several marketing agencies that are hiring, and you could easily transfer your software engineering skills to companies there. We could start over completely, somewhere Tyler has no connections or knowledge of our daily routine." The idea of leaving everything behind because of Tyler's criminal behavior felt like surrender, but staying felt like waiting for tragedy. Tyler had proven he was willing to escalate indefinitely, and our local support systems were inadequate to protect us from his obsession. But Tyler wasn't finished with his campaign of terror. Monday morning brought the most dangerous threat, yet Tyler had somehow obtained my new employer's contact information and was attempting to destroy my professional reputation through false accusations of domestic violence. His final gambit was to eliminate my ability to provide for Amanda, while simultaneously threatening to take her with him if we attempted to leave town. The stakes had reached their maximum level, and Amanda and I realized we were fighting not just for our marriage or our safety, but for our entire future together. Tyler's attempt to sabotage my career became the final miscalculation that led to his complete downfall. Monday morning, I received a call from Karen Williams, the Human Resources Director, at my new software engineering position in Denver. Tyler had contacted the company claiming to be a concerned family member, reporting domestic violence and unstable behavior that made me unsuitable for employment. Mr. Ray, we've received some unusual communications about your character, Karen explained professionally. Normally, we wouldn't dignify such claims with a response, but the caller was quite persistent and claimed to have evidence of concerning behavior. We'd like to hear your side of the situation. Instead of panicking, I saw Tyler's desperate gambit as an opportunity to finally trap him with evidence that would stand up in court. Karen, I appreciate you calling me directly instead of simply withdrawing the job offer, I replied. The person who contacted you is my brother Tyler, and he's been stalking my wife for several months. His accusations are part of a harassment campaign we've been documenting with law enforcement. I arranged a conference call with Karen Amanda, my father Robert, and Detective Morrison from the county sheriff's office, who had finally been assigned to our case after Tyler's escalating behavior attracted serious police attention. Together, we presented a comprehensive timeline of Tyler's stalking, including photographic evidence, threatening letters, surveillance footage, and documentation of his criminal blackmail against our mother. Karen's response exceeded my expectations. Mr. Ray, not only are we proceeding with your employment as planned, but I'm impressed by how professionally you've handled this situation, she said. We deal with background investigations regularly, and your systematic documentation shows exactly the kind of analytical thinking we value. Would you be able to start 2 weeks earlier than originally planned? What's up? Tyler's attempt to destroy my career had backfired completely, accelerating our escape from his reach, while providing law enforcement with evidence of his escalating harassment. Detective Morrison used Tyler's contact with my employer as proof of interstate stalking, upgrading the charges against him, and finally justifying serious legal intervention. The trap we set for Tyler was elegant in its simplicity. Working with Robert and Detective Morrison, we arranged a controlled confrontation designed to capture Tyler's threats on audio recording while providing witnesses to his increasingly unstable behavior. Robert called Tyler claiming he wanted to reconcile and discuss reasonable solutions to the family conflict. Tyler arrived at Robert's house Wednesday evening, expecting a supportive conversation about his pursuit of Amanda. Instead, he walked into a carefully planned intervention with myself, Amanda, Robert, Detective Morrison, and a domestic violence counselor present to witness his response to clear boundaries. Tyler, we're here to give you one final opportunity to end this stalking behavior voluntarily. Detective Morrison began his tone professional but firm. You've engaged in systematic harassment, trespassing, surveillance, and intimidation. These activities are criminal, and we have sufficient evidence to arrest you immediately. However, your father has requested that we try intervention first. Tyler's response was everything we needed to secure a comprehensive restraining order. Instead of showing remorse or agreeing to stop his behavior, he became increasingly agitated and threatening exactly the reaction we had anticipated from someone whose carefully constructed facade was finally crumbling. Amanda belongs with someone who appreciates her, Tyler declared, his voice rising with desperate anger. Ray will never love her the way she deserves, and I'm not going to stand by and watch him waste her life. If you think you can force me to give up the woman I love by threatening me with legal action, you're all making a serious mistake. The recorded threats were explicit and unambiguous. Tyler was publicly declaring his intention to continue pursuing Amanda, regardless of legal consequences, positioning himself as someone fighting for love, rather than acknowledging his criminal behavior. His complete lack of respect for Amanda's autonomy and his dismissal of legal authority provided perfect evidence for law enforcement action. Tyler, Amanda has repeatedly told you she's not interested in any relationship beyond family courtesy. The domestic violence counselor interjected. Her wishes are clear, and continuing to pursue her against her stated preferences constitutes criminal harassment. Do you understand that your feelings don't override her right to make her own choices? Tyler's response was chilling in its honesty. Amanda doesn't know what she really wants, because everyone has been pressuring her to stay loyal to Ray, he replied. Once we're away from this family drama, she'll realize that I'm the one who truly understands her needs. Sometimes women need men to make difficult decisions for them. The admission revealed Tyler's fundamental misogyny and complete disregard for Amanda's agency. He genuinely believed that his feelings justified overriding her clearly expressed wishes, and that he had the right to make decisions about her life regardless of her preferences. The recording captured his dangerous mindset perfectly. Detective Morrison arrested Tyler that same evening, charging him with stalking harassment, trespassing burglary, and making terrorist threats. The accumulation of evidence was overwhelming: photographs, letters, security footage, witness testimony, and his own recorded admissions of intent to continue the harassment. Tyler's bail was set high enough to keep him in jail for several weeks while we completed our relocation to Denver. His access to Linda's embezzled money had been cut off when Robert froze all family accounts, leaving Tyler without resources to fight the charges or continue his stalking campaign. The legal proceedings moved quickly once law enforcement took Tyler's threats seriously. Within 10 days, we had a comprehensive restraining order that prohibited Tyler from any contact with Amanda or me, required him to stay at least 500 yards away from our residence and workplaces, and included provisions for immediate arrest if he violated any conditions. Linda's consequences were equally severe. Robert filed for divorce, immediately citing adultery, financial fraud, and emotional abuse. Her real estate license was suspended, pending investigation of the embezzlement charges, and several of her victims filed civil lawsuits to recover stolen funds. Linda's affair with Marcus became public knowledge when local newspapers covered the criminal charges, destroying both their professional reputations. But our victory went beyond Tyler and Linda's legal consequences. Amanda and I discovered that surviving his manipulation had strengthened our marriage in ways we never expected. Fighting together against his threats had forced us to communicate more openly, trust each other more completely, and prioritize our relationship above external pressures. Amanda's job search in Denver was remarkably successful. Her experience investigating Tyler's criminal behavior had demonstrated research and analytical skills that impressed potential employers, and she received multiple job offers from marketing agencies that valued her systematic approach to problem-solving. My new position exceeded all expectations. The company was impressed by my professionalism during the Tyler crisis and fast-tracked my promotion to senior engineer with increased responsibilities and salary. Our relocation package covered moving expenses and helped us purchase a beautiful home in a Denver suburb where Tyler had no connections or knowledge of our routine. Robert's healing journey was more complex, but ultimately positive. Therapy helped him understand how Linda had manipulated family dynamics for years, using guilt and favoritism to control situations while hiding her criminal behavior. Robert began rebuilding relationships with extended family members who had been confused by the toxic dynamics, and he started dating a wonderful woman named Patricia, who treated him with respect and honesty. 6 months after relocating to Denver, Amanda and I hosted Robert for Thanksgiving in our new home. Our conversations focused on future plans rather than past traumas, and Robert expressed genuine pride in how we had handled the crisis together. "You two fought for your marriage and won," he told us. "Tyler and Linda made their choices, but you made better ones." Tyler remained in Ohio, facing multiple criminal charges and social isolation after his behavior became public knowledge. His threats to follow us to Colorado were empty bluster from someone whose resources and support system had been completely eliminated. Reports from Robert suggested Tyler was finally receiving court-mandated psychiatric treatment, though his willingness to engage with therapy remained questionable. The most satisfying aspect of our victory was Amanda's transformation from victim to survivor. The experience had revealed strengths she didn't know she possessed: investigative skills, strategic thinking, emotional resilience, and absolute determination to protect our relationship. I never realized how strong I could be until someone threatened to take away everything I cared about, she told me one evening as we watched the sunset from our new back porch. Our new life in Denver exceeded our expectations in every way. Amanda's marketing career flourished in the competitive Colorado market. My engineering work provided intellectual challenges and professional growth, and our marriage had been tested by fire and emerged stronger than ever. We made friends, quickly joined community organizations, and built a social network based on shared interests rather than family obligations. The lessons we learned from Tyler's stalking campaign changed how we approached relationships permanently. We established clear boundaries with family members, prioritized open communication about concerns rather than avoiding conflict, and never again allowed external pressures to override our commitment to each other. Standing in our new kitchen 1 year after leaving Ohio, Amanda and I reflected on the journey that had brought us to this peaceful, secure, loving life together. Tyler's attempt to destroy our marriage had ultimately strengthened it beyond anything we thought possible. His criminal behavior had been exposed and punished, our toxic family dynamics had been permanently resolved, and our future together was brighter than ever. Do you ever regret fighting back instead of just trying to keep peace? Amanda asked, her arms wrapped around my waist as we looked out at the Colorado mountains. Never, I replied without hesitation. Fighting for us was the best decision I've ever made. Tyler thought he could manipulate and intimidate us into giving up what we built together. Instead, he taught us how strong our love really is when we stand together against people who try to tear us apart. Sometimes the greatest victories come from refusing to be victims, from fighting back against people who assume they can take whatever they want, and from choosing love and justice over peace and convenience. Tyler learned that lesson the hard way. Amanda and I learned it the right way. Have you ever had to fight for your relationship against family members who didn't respect your boundaries? How did you handle manipulation and threats from people who were supposed to support you? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your story might help someone else facing similar challenges. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button to help others find it. Subscribe to hear more stories about overcoming family drama and protecting your marriage from toxic people. And don't forget to share this with anyone who might need encouragement to stand up for their relationship. Thank you for listening to my story. Sometimes we have to lose toxic family members to gain the peaceful life we deserve. I hope you find the courage to protect what matters most to you, just like Amanda and I did. Until next time, remember that love is worth fighting for when it's with the right person.